Hey, what is up, guys? Joseph here, and this is going to be a spoiler review of Avengers Endgame. I don't know when I'm gonna be doing my ranking video of all of the MCU movies up to date. I originally had planned for it to be before Far From Home, but because I had thought that Endgame was the end of Phase 3, but apparently, it's going to be Spider-Man: Far From Home. That's going to be the end of Phase 3. So I know I've said that I was going to do the Far From. I was going to do it before Far From Home came out, but now that I realize that Far From Home is the final movie in the Phase 3 of the MCU, I'm probably going to wait for after Far From Home. So that's out of the way. I'll go ahead and get started because this is going to be a long review. But this movie, oh god, is going to be one of, if not my favorite MCU movies ever, because there was so many huge, monumental moments that's going to be iconic in the rest of the whole franchise. I was really nervous of how they were going to what they were going to do with Captain Marvel. I'll get more into this later, but I was worried that they were going to have Captain Marvel be the Superman of this movie, like Superman was in Justice League, where he showed up and pretty much single-handedly defeated whatever that villain's name was in Justice League. I can't even remember. I really don't even care enough to remember. Steppenwolf. That's it. Steppenwolf. But I mean, I was worried how they were gonna do Captain Marvel. Uh, but Captain Marvel, she ended up finding Tony and Nebula. Some people, I don't know how people can't figure this out. How I well, I should say it like this. How I saw it playing out was the post-credit scene for Captain Marvel had Captain Marvel meeting Black Widow, Hulk, and Captain America and War Machine. I think those are the four that she had run into when she had asked where's Fury and all that. How I read this uh, scene going was she had come to Earth, found the Black Widow, Captain America, the Hulk, and War Machine. Where's Fury? Then later on that day, later on that month, who knows? Somebody had mentioned, "Where's Tony? Where's Tony?" I forget the name of the ship. Is it the Milano? Is that the name of the Guardians' ship? I mean, I would have the feeling that Rocket had some kind of tracker on it, uh, and they had found out where Tony and Nebula were based on the location of that ship. That's when Rocket basically told Captain Marvel, "Hey, go get Tony and Nebula and go bring my ship back." Basically, so Captain Marvel went to go save Tony and Nebula. Uh, that's how I saw that whole thing playing out. So I wasn't like, how did the hell? Where did that come from? It's a Deus Ex Machina kind of thing. No, I don't think so. But people want to complain, I guess. But so Tony and Nebula come back to Earth. Dude, I gotta say the special effects, the CGI for this movie were incredible. But for the special effects, especially with the effects on Tony after he had come back to Earth, oh man, I bought that he was in bad shape. He looked what's the word? He just looked small. He looked small, weak, sickly, like very sickly. So props to the special effects department on this daggone movie all around. I mean, that was just one little scene, but I mean, all in all, the special effects on this movie were phenomenal. Rocket and Iron Man, man. Infinity War, Thor called Rocket a sweet rabbit, and in Endgame, Rocket is now he's gone from trash panda to sweet rabbit, and now he's a Build-A-Bear. Rocket can't get a break, man. Now looking back, it's obvious that Thanos wasn't going to be in this movie for very long because he was barely in the trailers. And what he was in the trailers, it was basically the same daggum shot they used over and over. Jeez. I mean, that was my probably main criticism of the movie was Thanos was barely in it. But I mean, we got a whole freaking movie of Thanos in Infinity War. So, I mean, that's a little bit of nitpick. I mean, I can't really think of a major thing that I hated about this movie. I mean, it was pretty much a perfect superhero movie. I mean, there's people that complain all the time since this movie came out that there was no post-credit scene. I really don't care. I mean, yeah, it was a little bit of a surprise, but I mean, it was. If you seriously gonna complain about a post-credit scene, there were way more important things that you need to be worrying about and complaining about in this world than Marvel not having a post-credit scene at the end of this movie. People want to complain about every single thing, I guess, but Thanos, as I was saying about Thanos, the Avengers basically came up and dominated Thanos to the point of it was just an assassination. Thanos did not have no chance in winning this little battle because he was in bad shape from using those stones for the second time. And Thor had taken Thanos' advice from the Infinity War and gone for the head and beheaded Thanos. Oh man, see, I started to laugh, but shortly after, I was surprised that they had killed off Thanos in the first 20 minutes, if that. Like, it was very, very early on in this daggone movie. So I really didn't know how it was going to go from there. I mean, I knew there was going to be time travel and everything. I'll talk about that a little later, obviously. But because, I mean, if you've been on the internet for the past couple of years, you saw the set photos of them filming location back in 2012. During the set time of 2012, back in the first Avengers movie, with Captain America being in his old Captain America suit back in that he had in the first Avengers, and we saw the current Robert De Niro, Robert Downey Jr., Tony Stark, Iron Man with Ant-Man, so we knew it was going to be time travel some way involved. Didn't know how they were going to do time travel, how it was going to play out with time travel in it. True hero of the movie was actually a mouse or a rat. I'm not exactly sure, because if it wasn't for that rat or a mouse, whatever it was, Ant-Man would not have escaped the quantum realm. I mean, and Ant-Man was a major reason why everybody had come back, because if it wasn't for Ant-Man had been in the quantum realm for 5 hours for him, but 5 years for everybody else. So there was a 5-year time jump after Thanos had been beheaded by Thor. I mean, after the initial time jump, we realized that Iron Man and Pepper Potts finally have a daughter. Tony's dream had come true. Thor, oh my god. I know some people hated what they did with Thor. Thor was fat. That was a little surprising. I thought it was funny. I didn't hate it. But I mean, I can see why people think that. But I mean, I just coming from a fat guy, I don't really care. I want representation too. Uh, but I mean, it's just it was a joke. I mean, not that that was a bad thing, but it was just played for laughs. I mean, Thor was so freaking serious in Infinity War in the beginning of this movie. Then I mean, just because like have him be the comedic side. That's what he was in Thor Ragnarok. Bring him back. Jeez, I mean, but people want to complain, like I've already said. I mean, Fat Thor was the Lebowski joke. Tony Stark had called Thor the Lebowski. Oh man. I mean, I thought Fat Thor was funny. Um, in Fortnite, man. That I was. I know I know a lot of people obviously have seen all the freaking ads that Fortnite have made about Infinity War, and the reason for that was because they had basically come to an agreement where if we use your movie, if we promote your movie, you promote our game. I'm not sure that's exactly how the deal went, but obviously there was some kind of deal made, and Fortnite had made an appearance when Korg and what was the freaking Meek? I think that's the other one. They were playing Fortnite, and Korg had made a was Korg had told not Korg, Thor did it. Thor told a troll off, like we all want to do on video games, man. Playing online with other people. Oh, daggum kids. But I mean, it was like I said, people want to complain about everything. I mean, Fat Thor, it was funny to me, anyways. But whatever. Professor Hulk, half Hulk, half Bruce. That caught me a little off guard. I'll be honest. I'm pretty sure everybody else did too. It did too, but I mean, I felt like Valkyrie did initially when she had said, I preferred you either way, either full Hulk or full Bruce, but not half and half like he was. But after a while, that kind of feeling went away because I got used to it. But when it initially happened and the Professor Hulk was on screen for the first time, I was taken aback from it because it was just a little uh just a tad creepy. Hawkeye. Oh man, after Hawkeye's family had dusted, he became a straight up assassin, and that scene when he was in Tokyo, oh that was it was badass. I mean, straight up assassin. Stabbed the guy in the daggum head, and it. Oh man, he had become very just rough after his family had dusted. Like he didn't give two craps about anything. From this point on, oh man, I straight up loved every single daggum second of this movie. I mean, I loved it before, but after they had started on their time travel journey, oh man, it picked up. I'm not sure the exact time of when the movie hit that time travel jump, but after that, it picked up big time because you got all these. I mean, this has become a somewhat negative thing to say on the internet of fan service, but I mean, fan service can be a good thing. I don't. I know some people criticize some movies and TV shows when they do fan service. So why wouldn't you do fan service? You're satisfying the fans that have been loyal to your brand for years on end. Why not give something back? I, why is that a bad thing? But I mean, like I said earlier, this gonna continue to be a daggum trend on this daggum video. People want to complain about every single daggum little thing they can find, but it just but I don't even know where to start when dealing with this time travel stuff. You get, it just started with the Battle of New York back in the first Avengers time travel stuff. You get Captain America versus Captain America when they finally see each other. You get the Captain America. Oh man, I thought that they were gonna do a recreation of the elevator scene from Winter Soldier because it was set up pretty much the exact same way with the same characters minus that the guy in the glasses. I can't remember what his name was, but I mean, minus him, it was set up with the exact same characters with the Crossbones before he had become Crossbones. I can't think of the character's name or the actor. I'm sorry, but I mean, I thought it was going to be the exact same elevator scene from Captain America: The Winter Soldier, but Captain America, oh man, Hell Hydra. That's all he had to say, and they had given him the briefcase with the Tesseract in it. Oh man, that was an obvious reference to that issue. I don't know if it was a single issue or comic run or whatever it was when Captain America had been revealed to be a Hydra agent, Hydra operative, whatever. I mean, I don't read most of the Marvel comics. I don't read. I mean, I'd read like the plot, the story of behind the issues and all that, but I don't go out and look for a comic and read it panel for panel. I do read some of the Marvel comics, but I'm not like a super fan. I gotta have every single daggum comic. That's just not me. But I mean, I don't got a problem with that. I love comic book movies. I love superhero movies, and Stan Lee, may rest in peace, created something that I'll forever love with all these Marvel characters. I have no bad things to say about Stan Lee. Speaking of Stan Lee, his cameo. Oh man, I don't know if this is his last cameo. Oh man, it's just I love the cameo. By the way, I mean I don't know if it's gonna be his last cameo or not. Uh, but yeah, Captain America, the Hail Hydra scene, it was awesome. And then that led into the Captain America versus Captain America fight. Comment down below and let me know if like this was his final Stan Lee's final cameo. Because I don't know if it is. I mean, the time travel, it made dead characters return. The time travel, it had Alexander Pierce from the Winter Soldier. It had Loki. It had Gamora. It had Thor's mom. It had the Ancient One. It had Howard Stark, and I mean Jane Foster also returned. Uh, I mean, it was just moment after moment after moment. And speaking of dead characters, um, the first one, oh boy, so Hawkeye and Black Widow had gone to Vormir and to retrieve the Soul Stone. And if you saw Infinity War, which if you hadn't, I really don't know why you're even watching this video, you would know to retrieve the Soul Stone, you have to make a sacrifice of the person you love, or love something. You know, you have to give up something you love. And so the previous MCU movies for the past nearly 10 years, they have been building up the friendship, relationship, whatever you want to call it, between Hawkeye and Black Widow. And it culminated to this scene where they had realized that one of them had to go. One of them had to sacrifice themselves for the other. And I'm sure, like everybody else, I was expecting Hawkeye to go. Because of the fact that there was, I don't know if it was confirmed, but I know it was a pretty heavy rumor. Like, it was pretty much confirmed, but it just wasn't officially confirmed by Marvel about the Black Widow movie. And now, obviously, if that even does happen, it's gonna be a prequel, because Black Widow actually did sacrifice herself for Hawkeye to continue. I'd really, honestly, I didn't want either one of them to go. But I mean, if I had to pick one, it would have been Hawkeye, if I'm being honest. But I mean, it just, and I mean, mainly because later on in the movie, and I'll bring this back up in a minute, there was a moment in the final battle that Black Widow would have been perfect for. It shocked me that Black Widow was the one to go. There were two moments. There were two moments that, one of them I had actually cried, and another one where I was really close to crying, and I was really close to crying during this scene with Hawkeye and Black Widow. It was very shocking to just like see. So after Black Widow had sacrificed herself, they had all come back to the present time, and they had all gotten the stones. They just needed to build a gauntlet for the Infinity Stones. They ended up doing it, and Bruce snapped. He snapped his fingers, and it started out thinking that I didn't know if it was actually going to happen that way. I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't know if that was going to be the way they did it. Because the way I saw this movie playing before the movie even happened, before the Infinity War even came out, when it was still Avengers Infinity War Part 1, Avengers Infinity War Part 2, back when that was announced, I had like a frame. And I mean, it did happen in a way, but it didn't happen exactly like it. I had a frame in my head where it would have been a wide shot of every single Marvel character that had been dusted, dead. I thought Quicksilver, if they were ever going to bring him back, now they're obviously not. If they were ever going to bring him back, this would have been the perfect time. This would have been the perfect time to bring Quicksilver back to life. But they didn't. So that was another prediction of mine that didn't happen. Because I thought that if they were ever going to bring back Quicksilver, it would have been now. Because I had a frame in my head, a picture in my head, an image, whatever you want to say, of Captain America wielding the gauntlet and yelling to the top of his lungs, "Avengers Assemble." And I mean, it did happen in a way, but it didn't exactly happen, because that, before I actually get into that, I mean, I've already started it, but I completely I don't know how I completely forgot about it. Um, Captain America. There was a theory going around that the reason that Captain America couldn't wield Thor's hammer in Age of Ultron when they were messing around, entertaining themselves, trying to see who was worthy to pick up Thor's hammer. Captain America was the only one that made it budge a little. There was a theory going around that the reason that he couldn't quite lift it up was because he was holding that secret in from Tony Stark's parents, how they had been killed. After, since Captain America no longer holds that secret, Captain America can finally lift up Thor's hammer. Mjolnir, however you want to call it. Um, oh jeez, there was several moments in this movie I had gotten goosebumps in. This was one of them, and another one where I got goosebumps in. The Avengers Assemble, like I was talking about a little earlier. Everybody had come back. Doctor Strange, Black Panther, Spider-Man, Star-Lord, not Gamora, but Drax, Mantis, Shuri, I know him, Wasp, so Bucky, Groot, you know everybody that dusted, Scarlet Witch, everybody that dusted in the end of Infinity War. Everybody had come back, and it was, oh man, there were, like I said, there was very few moments in just movie history that I had goosebumps in. And I mean, Captain America lifting Thor's hammer. I mean, I had goosebumps in, but it paled in comparison to the goosebumps I had when Captain America finally said "Avengers Assemble." Uh, the music behind it, the score, Black Panther yelling, a Bombay, whatever he says. I'm not sure exactly. I mean, if you watch Black Panther, if you watch any of the Marvel movies, you know what he says. Just everything. The score, like I said, oh man, I had goosebumps. I can't remember the last time I had goosebumps watching a movie. It was probably when Wonder Woman made her entrance in Batman v Superman. But other than that, I can't remember like another time where I had goosebumps in a theater as much as I did with the Avengers Assemble scene. Um, I mean, it didn't happen exactly like I had thought it was going to previously, like I mentioned earlier. But I mean, I'm glad that it didn't, and I'm also glad that they didn't say Avengers Assemble in any of the other Marvel movies, any of the other Avengers movies, because they teased it. They teased it. In the end of it, Age of Ultron, they teased saying Avengers Assemble. And that was my one prediction that actually came true, that they were actually going to say Avengers Assemble in this movie. Because I knew that they couldn't, they teased it. They teased it in Age of Ultron, like I said, so they couldn't not say it in this movie, and this was the perfect time to say it, because they had brought back all of the supposed dead, quote unquote dead Avengers who had dusted. This was the perfect time to finally say Avengers Assemble, and it lived up to the hype. Jeez. Oh man, it was epic. That was a one word, epic. And I mean, after that, after the Avengers Assemble, everybody rushed to Thanos's army. Oh man, the most one of the most epic battles in superhero. No, I would say the most epic battle in superhero movies. Period. I had stated earlier on my Facebook and Instagram that it was it was as epic, if not more, because I wasn't quite sure. I wasn't quite sure at the time, but now I said that it was as epic, if not more epic, than the airport battle in Civil War. But now, looking at it, it was far more epic. Like I said, the Avengers Assemble mixed with the overwhelming, vast number of the Avengers armies, mixed with the Guardians, mixed with the Sorcerers from Doctor Strange, mixed with who else was there? The Asgardians, Valkyrie on a Pegasus. There was Giant Man. It was all everybody, every single group that was good versus every single, not really every single, but Thanos and his army and the Chitauri. That was like, it was on the scale of like Lord of the Rings. That's what I had seen, where you saw like all of the heroes running, that made the Civil War and the entrance to Age of Ultron, that winter battle thing, like they just paled in comparison to the final battle in this movie. I mean, you had Giant Man punching one of those flying centipede Chitauri looking things from the first Avengers movie. You had the female Avengers, which I briefly mentioned it, vaguely mentioned it before with the Black Widow. The female Avengers would have been perfect for Black Widow, because she was the first hero in the Marvel movies. I mean, pretty much every single Marvel female character, from Gamora to Nebula to Pepper Potts, who suited up in this movie, Scarlet Witch, Shuri, Okoye, Captain Marvel. There was a lot more, but those are the ones that I can think of. Wasp, Valkyrie, and I'm sure there are others that I forgot, but those are the ones that just came to my mind right off the bat. But I mean, it just, Spider-Man and Tony finally giving Spider-Man a hug. Doctor Strange, you know, I know a lot of people, when Infinity War had come out, that was confused at why Doctor Strange would hand over the Time Stone to save Tony's life, when previously in the movie he said that if it came down to you and the kid or the Infinity Stone, I'm gonna pick the Infinity Stone every single time, or something, something to that effect. So everybody was confused at, why would Doctor Strange go against his word and give Thanos the Infinity Stone, the one thing he's trying to protect. It finally made sense, because after they had come back, Iron Man had seen Doctor Strange, went up to him and asked him, "Hey, I know you told us that there was one, outcome, that we had won this thing. Tell me this is the one." And Doctor Strange replies that if I told you, it wouldn't come true. Something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing, of course, because I can't quite remember exactly what they said, but it's something to that effect. And I mean, when he said that, I thought, okay, it's just they're not gonna say whether they win or not, obviously, because that would be spoiling the movie. But I mean, so I figured that was gonna be like Marvel's way of, not saying before it actually happened. But looking at it fully, it makes daggum sense, because Tony Stark, he had proven Captain America wrong with what he said in the first Avengers movie.
I know guys with none of that worth 10 of you. I've seen the footage. The only thing you really fight for is yourself. You're not the guy to make the sacrifice play, to lay down on a wire and let the other guy crawl over you.
I think I would just cut the wire.
Always a way out. You may not be a threat, but you better stop pretending to be a hero.
And he had made the sacrifice play. And oh man, this is where I cried. Just everything with Tony and his funeral that came after the battle. Oh boy. I mean, I wasn't expecting Tony to die. Uh, because I was putting my money on, figuratively, I was putting my money on Captain America being the one to die, because I could see him, sacrificing himself the same way he did, uh, attempt to sacrifice himself, even though it was a dud grenade in the first Captain America movie. Um, but I could see him sacrificing himself to get rid of Thanos. Uh, so I was expecting Captain America to die, but I knew one of the big three, Thor, Captain America, Iron Man, would have to die. Um, but Iron Man, I mean, it was the perfect end to a great story arc, from him being this selfish billionaire playboy philanthropist in the first Iron Man movie to now becoming the selfless savior of the world. Um, when he defeated Thanos, because he had gotten all the gems, gotten the gauntlet, and snapped his finger and wiped out Thanos and his and Thanos' army. So Thanos and his army had dusted, and I'm starting to lose my voice already. But everybody who was on Thanos' army, the Chitauri, the Black Order, I think that's what they're called. Thanos himself, all had dusted, and I was really worried that Captain Marvel was going to be the one to defeat Thanos. Because I really, before Infinity or before Endgame had come out, I was really worried that Captain Marvel was going to be the one to defeat Thanos, because I was really scared that they were going to do what Superman had done, like I said before, what Superman had done in Justice League, and basically single-handedly be the reason that the heroes defeat the villain. I could see that happening. I was really hoping that it wouldn't happen, because that would have been just a cheap shot. Like, it wouldn't had that would have been I just would have been cheap. The only four people that I would have been okay with defeating Thanos was Thor, Captain America, Iron Man, and if it wasn't one of those three, and if it was someone newer, I would have been fine with Nebula. Because if it was been anyone else other than those three, Nebula, I feel would have had the most. It would have fit her character arc, because she wanted to defeat Thanos. So I would have been fine with Nebula being the one. But like I said, she wouldn't have been my first choice, don't get me wrong. But if it wasn't one of those three, Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man, I would have wanted it to be Nebula. Drax would have been another one. But, I mean, if it wasn't one of those four, Drax would have been my number 5. But anyways, after the battle, Iron Man had defeated Thanos, thankfully. And they had given him a funeral. And that was really when the tears started coming, because you had seen every single person that had been somewhat affected by him. It was basically everybody in the Marvel universe, the heroes in the Marvel universe, had been there. Everyone from S.H.I.E.L.D., every one of the Avengers, every one of the Guardians that was still alive, and one teenager that I didn't recognize, but I felt like it was somebody that had something to do with Tony. And I had found out that after the movie had ended, and looking online and seeing who that kid was, because I was curious, that it was apparently the kid from Iron Man 3. I mean, that was the first time that they've actually even referenced the existence of that movie. So I mean, it was a neat uh, moment. But I mean, Tony's funeral, the funeral with the casket on the water and the flowers and the proof that Tony Stark has a heart. That little arc reactor. That was really when it hit. Oh boy, but I mean, there's still some questions that I have. Vision, I'm guessing, is still dead. Gamora and Loki missing, perhaps. I'm not sure. Captain America Captain America returns the ended up returning the stones and Thor's hammer to where they had previously belonged in the timeline, and they had counted down, and when Captain America was supposed to return, he didn't, and everybody's looking like, where is he? What's going on? And they find an old man who was actually Captain America, Steve Rogers, Captain America, who had gone back in time after returning the stones and returning Thor's hammer. He had gone back to live his life with Peggy Carter. And when he the timeline where Falcon, Bucky, and Hulk, because those are the three that were there with Captain America when he went back, they found an old man, and Captain America, Steve Rogers, had handed the shield to Falcon. Falcon is now the new Captain America. I mean, I know it's been Falcon in the comics. I know that it's been Bucky in the comics. My money was actually on Bucky, but I mean, I'm perfectly fine with Falcon being the new Captain America. I didn't really have a preference, really. I mean, like I said, I just thought that it was going to be Bucky, but I mean, I'm perfectly fine with it being Sam or Falcon, whichever you want to call him. I mean, Thor leaves Asgard, names Valkyrie the Queen of Asgard, and now he joins the Guardians of the Galaxy. So I mean, is he going to be in Guardians 3, or is this just a way to send him off? Is he still going to be in the MCU? Because, like I said earlier, this movie doesn't have a post-credit scene, but it does. It does have this little tribute for every single of the original Avengers. Mark Ruffalo, who plays Hulk, Scarlett Johansson, Jeremy Renner, Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans, and Robert Downey Jr. All six of them gets like a little tribute, which I thought was neat. But I mean, I'm guessing I'm guessing that means that he's going to be in Guardians 3. But I mean, I heard that he had not signed another contract, so I don't know what exactly I don't know exactly what's going to happen with that in the future. But the final scene of Steve and Peggy dancing, finally getting their little dance that Steve had missed, was a perfect send off for Captain America. Like I said earlier, my money was on Captain America sacrificing himself and joining Peggy in the afterlife kind of thing. But I mean, if that wasn't the case, this is fine too. But it just this movie, it had all of the emotion from. I was happy. I don't remember being angry, but I mean, I was happy. I was sad. I was laughing several times during this movie. I mean, this movie, it's as I said earlier at the beginning of this video, I'm gonna do a ranking video. This is definitely gonna be up there. I'm not exactly. I don't want to say it's gonna be my number one because I'm not sure. Because it still is fresh in my mind. So I'm trying to let it. I'm trying to let it. I'm not trying to come right out of the gate and say this is my favorite MCU movie, but it is definitely up there. It is definitely in my top 5, at least in my top 5. Just everything about it. I loved this movie. That's it for my little spoiler review. I know this is a long video, but I mean, there was a lot that happened in this daggone movie. Let me know what you guys think of this movie in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did it live up to the hype? Did it not live up to the hype? Whatever you think, comment down below and let me know. As always, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Like me on Facebook at JMash97. Follow me on Twitter at JMash97. Follow me on Instagram at JMash_97. All of those social media links are in the description below. Mash out.